Hello friends. If you were born on February 4th, you're not just another Aquarius, you're a storm wrapped in velvet, a rebel with a deeply calculated cause. You walk the line between unconventional genius and magnetic mystery. But what does your birth date really say about you? Let's unravel this cosmic code. This is your ultimate February 4th horoscope, weaving together the wisdom of Western astrology, numerology, Vedic astrology, Druid horoscopes, flower and stone signs, and a full breakdown of your love life, friendships, business acumen, and compatibility. So sit back, your stars have a lot to say. The essence of February 4th borns, Aquarius reinvented. Being born on February 4th places you in the heart of Aquarius season, a time ruled by the enigmatic and electric planet Uranus, a celestial body synonymous with upheaval, reinvention, and the future. But those born on this specific date aren't just typical Aquarians floating through a cloud of innovation. No, February 4th individuals represent a distilled, heightened version of this air sign. You embody the fixed nature of Aquarius with rare intensity, meaning your ideals aren't just ideas. They're missions. While many Aquarians are daydreamers and thinkers, you're also a builder. Your dreams come with blueprints. You don't simply have a rebellious streak, you have a complete architectural plan for how to redesign the system you're rebelling against. You often seem paradoxical, imaginative, but calculated, eccentric, yet grounded, futuristic, and somehow traditional in your own unconventional way. You can often be found blending creativity with logic, activism with strategy, and freedom with purpose. Your inner world is a marvel of contradictions held in delicate balance. You crave solitude but radiate charisma in group settings. You guard your emotional world but long to connect with kindred spirits. You hate being misunderstood but thrive on being different. People may struggle to get you, but that's only because you're often several steps ahead, philosophically, emotionally, even spiritually. You're wired to anticipate change before it arrives, which gives you both a visionary edge and an occasional sense of isolation. Your curiosity is insatiable. You're the type to fall down 3 a.m. internet rabbit holes about ancient civilizations, quantum computing, or how mushrooms might save the planet. But unlike the average thinker, you don't hoard knowledge, you share it, teach it, turn it into something that shifts the way others perceive the world. You're that rare type of revolutionary who also values order and clarity, someone who dreams big but can back it all up with structure and reason. You are also emotionally layered, even if you don't wear it on your sleeve. There's a core of deep idealism and vulnerability beneath your cooler-than-thou exterior. The world affects you. Injustice moves you. Beauty inspires you. But you've learned to protect that sensitivity with wit, intellect, and a dash of eccentric charm. Still, those who look closely can spot the soul-level intensity you carry in silence. You're not easily swayed by trends or popular opinion. You set your own compass and follow it relentlessly, even when others think you're being stubborn or aloof. What they don't realize is that your convictions are hard-won, often shaped through inner battles, late-night thinking sessions, and a profound desire to be in alignment with your truth. You're not just playing a role, you are the role. You are, in every way, reinvented Aquarius, equal parts innovator, architect, poet, and provocateur. Love, the romantic rebel. When it comes to love, February 4th individuals require more than chemistry or good looks, they need intellectual intimacy. You want a partner who's not afraid to swim in deep mental waters, someone who doesn't flinch at complexity but instead embraces it like a puzzle they want to solve. You're aroused by depth, challenge, and perspective-shifting conversations. You don't fall in love the way most people do. You collide with it, often unexpectedly, like two comets crashing into one another and creating a brand new galaxy. Traditional love languages like gifts or frequent texts may not always resonate with you unless they're layered with meaning. For you, love isn't a performance, it's a shared exploration. You want someone who can be your best friend, creative partner, co-conspirator, and spiritual companion. You're not looking to be saved, nor do you want to save anyone. What you seek is mutual evolution. Routine is the enemy of your romantic energy. You thrive on newness, whether it's traveling to a city you've never seen, reimagining your shared goals, or deep diving into new philosophies as a couple. Relationships that get stuck in predictability or emotional dependency tend to fizzle out fast. You'll stay in a love story as long as there's motion, growth, and a sense of shared discovery. While you do love deeply, it can take a while for you to admit it, even to yourself. You're slow to trust, not because you're cold, but because your heart is rare, and you don't give it away casually. You want love to mean something real and lasting, not just a fleeting high. Once you do open up, you're fiercely loyal and unusually invested. You'll stand by your partner through revolutions of all kinds, personal, political, existential. Emotionally, you're complex. You might be physically present but mentally galaxies away, especially if something is unresolved in your mind. Partners may sometimes misread this as detachment or disinterest. What they often don't understand is that you're processing, recalibrating, sometimes even protecting them from the intensity of what you're feeling. You don't do performative drama. You do quiet epiphanies, late-night clarity, and deeply thought-out commitments. The ideal partner for you is emotionally intelligent, wildly open-minded, and secure enough to give you space without interpreting it as distance. They're not threatened by your independence, they're inspired by it. They challenge you, but they never try to cage you. When you find that kind of person, you don't just love them, you co-create a universe together. In intimacy, you're not driven solely by physical pleasure, though you certainly enjoy it. You're moved by the idea of fusion, of melting mental and emotional boundaries until you feel like you're communicating on a wavelength all your own. Sex with you is exploratory, playful, and full of ideas. You're the kind of lover who might pause mid-kiss to ask, "Have you ever thought about what love would look like if society didn't define it?" And somehow, that question would feel like foreplay. Your deepest romantic fulfillment comes not from fireworks but from finding someone who sees all your contradictions and says, "I love all of it. Let's build something weird and wonderful together." Sex, passion with a twist. For those born on February 4th, sex isn't simply an act, it's a dialogue, a dance, and most importantly, a discovery. You're not wired for routine or surface-level intimacy. You crave the unexpected, the mentally stimulating, the emotionally charged, yet still somehow fun, spontaneous, and slightly rebellious. Your bedroom is a place where rules are rewritten and boundaries are explored, not just physically but intellectually and energetically. What turns you on isn't just the touch, it's the tension. It's the smirk before a kiss, the playful argument that becomes a flirtatious exchange, the deep conversation that suddenly shifts into something far more tactile. Your arousal begins in the brain. A clever remark, an unusual perspective, a moment of vulnerability, these are the sparks that light your fire. You need to feel intrigued before you can feel ignited. Experimentation is second nature to you. You're rarely bound by traditional views of sexuality. Gender roles, prescriptions of how things should be. You couldn't care less. You're the type to ask, "What if," in the bedroom just as often as you do in everyday life. You're drawn to partners who bring creativity and courage into intimate spaces, people who are curious, open, and unafraid to explore. And yet, there's a fascinating contrast at play. While you're bold and nonconforming when it comes to sexual expression, emotional intimacy is your true entry point. You might seem cool or detached at first, but that's only because you're protecting the most sacred part of the experience for you, connection. Once that trust is in place, you become warm, present, and deeply generous. You're not there to perform, you're there to connect, to create an experience that lingers in memory and meaning. Physical affection can be unpredictable with you. One moment you're aloof, the next you're intensely affectionate. That can be disorienting for some lovers, especially those who crave consistency. But for those who understand your rhythm, it's exhilarating. You give them a glimpse into something rare, a mind that seduces as much as a body, a soul that seeks fusion, not just friction. Sometimes, your partner may feel like they're not getting enough verbal or emotional confirmation. That's not because you don't feel, it's because you often express your passion through presence rather than reassurance. You touch instead of explain. You give instead of declare. Learning to articulate your feelings can amplify your intimacy and make your partner feel more grounded in the experience. Above all, sex for you is a playground of consciousness. You're not satisfied until it feels like art, like alchemy, like something that transcends the physical and brushes against the spiritual. With the right person, sex becomes more than pleasure, it becomes a shared journey of transformation. Marriage, the modern union. February 4th borns don't marry because it's expected, they marry because it's aligned. Marriage, for you, isn't about fulfilling a social script. It's about building a connection that's rooted in mutual purpose, vision, and autonomy. You're not here for the wedding photos or the Pinterest perfect house. You're here for the shared mission, the co-created future, the deep conversations at midnight after plotting your next bold move together. You require a relationship where equality is sacred. Power games, emotional manipulation, or outdated gender roles. Not in your house. You believe in a marriage where each partner grows individually while also building something together, a shared legacy, a business, a family of choice, a life that reflects your values. And because you're an Aquarius, those values are often progressive, humanistic, and visionary. You want your relationship to be as intentional as it is passionate. Monotony is the biggest threat to your idea of marriage. A life on autopilot is your personal nightmare. That's why your ideal partner is someone who's as curious about life as you are, someone who brings ideas to the table, pushes you to evolve, and is down to pivot plans when the world changes, which it always does. You're at your happiest when you feel like you and your spouse are co-pilots on an adventure, not passengers in a status quo. You don't expect a perfect marriage. You expect a real one. One where both partners take responsibility, communicate honestly, and continuously adapt. You're willing to compromise, when it makes sense. But you won't compromise your core identity for the sake of peace. You'd rather be alone than silenced. Because of this, you might take longer than others to commit. You don't rush into serious relationships, and you might second-guess the idea of marriage altogether until you meet someone who genuinely understands what you're about. But when you do commit, it's deep and sincere. You're in it not just for the honeymoon, but for the entire voyage. Spouses who thrive with you tend to be self-assured, emotionally mature, and intellectually curious. They don't compete with your independence, they cheer for it. They don't cling or chase, they converse, create, and co-dream. If they challenge you, it's with kindness. If they love you, it's without trying to contain you. In return, you offer a kind of partnership that's rare, full of freedom, faith, and fierce loyalty. You don't give your heart lightly, but when you do, it comes with a promise, not of perfection, but of evolution, together. Friendship, unbreakable bonds with the unusual. If you were born on February 4th, your approach to friendship is anything but conventional. You're not looking for surface-level acquaintances or party companions, you're looking for kindred spirits. People who are curious, honest, a little rebellious, and just weird enough to keep things interesting. You build friendships on the back of truth and originality, and once someone earns your trust, you become a fiercely loyal, lifelong ally. You're the type of friend who disappears for weeks in your own little world, then shows up out of nowhere with a life-changing idea, a wild story, or a perfectly timed meme. You don't always keep in touch by traditional standards, but when you connect, it's deep, engaging, and unforgettable. Small talk is your personal kryptonite. You crave conversations that ask big questions, unpack bold theories, and get a little weird around the edges. You want to know what your friend thinks about time travel, spiritual awakening, or what the world would look like if money didn't exist. People are drawn to you because you bring an electric kind of energy into the room. You see things differently. You challenge assumptions. You ask questions no one else dares to ask, and that makes others feel seen and expanded in your presence. Your friends often describe you as the one who taught them to think bigger, to be braver, or to stop apologizing for who they are. You don't demand much from your inner circle in terms of presence, but you demand everything in terms of authenticity. You can sniff out fakeness from a mile away, and nothing turns you off faster. You'd rather have 2 radically honest friends than a dozen polite acquaintances who never say what they really think. You believe friendship is a sacred space where people should feel free to express their whole selves, flaws, wild thoughts, late-night fears, and all. The friends who stick around are usually fellow nonconformists. You bond with people who are dreamers, visionaries, activists, artists, wanderers, and even the occasional mad scientist. You thrive in friendships that offer freedom rather than obligation. Texting every day isn't your thing. You'd rather have an unspoken understanding that your connection exists outside of time, that even after months of silence, you can pick up right where you left off without skipping a beat. In moments of crisis, you're the friend who shows up with unconventional solutions. If someone needs help moving, you're there with color-coded labels and an audiobook on quantum physics. If someone's going through a breakup, you're suggesting a road trip, a protest, or a radical self-love challenge instead of just a pint of ice cream and a hug. You help people reframe their pain into transformation. That's your magic. The zodiac signs you naturally vibe with tend to mirror your intensity and embrace your quirks. Gemini stimulates your mind and matches your intellectual hunger. Together, you two can talk for hours and still feel like you're just getting started. It's a friendship built on mental gymnastics, clever banter, and joint adventures into the unknown. Sagittarius is your cosmic comrade. They match your love for freedom and philosophical exploration. Together, you dream big, challenge societal norms, and plan spontaneous getaways you may or may not follow through on. Libra brings a sense of harmony and beauty to your sometimes chaotic thoughts. They understand your deeper emotional rhythms and help smooth the edges with their natural diplomacy. It's a calming but inspiring bond. Aries energizes you. They don't just accept your intensity, they fuel it. Aries inspires you to act on your ideas and makes sure the fire never dies out in your creative world. Together, you're unstoppable. You may struggle with signs who demand constant emotional availability or who interpret your independence as neglect. For you, connection isn't measured in texts or time spent together. It's measured in how real you can be with someone, how free they make you feel, and whether you can show up with your whole, unedited self. When that happens, your friendships become soul-level alliances that defy distance, time, and reason. Career business, genius with a game plan. For those born on February 4th, work is never just a paycheck. It's a mission, a challenge, a frontier. You're not built for cubicles or micromanagement, you're built for innovation, transformation, and impact. You don't just want to succeed, you want to reshape the playing field. While others are satisfied with climbing the ladder, you're busy redesigning the entire building. You approach your career like a mad scientist fused with a strategist. Visionary yet methodical. You see gaps in the system and instinctively know how to fill them, with technology, with activism, with new ideas that challenge the status quo. You're not afraid of hard work, but you need a sense of purpose behind it. If a job feels meaningless or too rigid, your motivation dies fast. But give you a cause to believe in, a problem to solve, or a community to uplift, and you're unstoppable. You excel in industries that are forward-facing, experimental, or humanitarian by nature. Careers in tech, design, psychology, social reform, activism, or environmental science tap into your core drives. You might find yourself in roles that didn't even exist 10 years ago, or invent roles for yourself that no one's imagined yet. Entrepreneurship is often your golden path, not because you want to be the boss, but because you want the freedom to create without limitation. You're not afraid to challenge authority, especially if the system feels broken. You're willing to take big risks, especially when the end goal serves something larger than yourself. This makes you an incredible leader, visionary, dynamic, and inclusive, but only when you have enough autonomy to move freely. If you're boxed in by outdated rules or forced to play office politics, you won't stay long. Structure doesn't scare you, irrelevance does. That's why your greatest strength in business is your ability to merge creativity with utility. You're not just dreaming of the next big idea, you're reverse engineering how to make it happen. You might be the one in the room with the wildest concept, but also the only one with a working prototype and a timeline to launch it. Still, your challenge lies in the follow-through. You can get so caught up in new ideas that you forget to finish the last 10. You'll need systems, or team members, who can help anchor your inspiration into execution. You thrive when surrounded by collaborators who complement your vision with structure, detail, and consistency. Financially, you're not necessarily driven by money, but you are driven by meaningful success. Once you realize that money is a tool to amplify your impact, you're more likely to align with prosperity. You're at your best when you're building something that helps people, wakes them up, or pushes society forward. Work, for you, must feel like freedom. It must feel like the future. And when it does, there's no one more original, resourceful, or revolutionary than a February 4th born. You're not just here to make a living. You're here to change the way the world works. Numerology, the power of 4. To be born on the 4th day of any month means something powerful in numerology, but when that date fuses with Aquarius energy on February 4th, it creates a rare blend of visionary imagination grounded in practical structure. The number 4 in numerology is often referred to as the builder. It represents order, reliability, discipline, and a deep-rooted drive to take ethereal concepts and transform them into real-world systems. It's about stability, but never stagnation. It's about structure, not restriction. At first, this might seem like a contradiction for the free-spirited, future-forward Aquarius. After all, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the planet of rebellion, innovation, and wild electric change. But here's where the February 4th birthdate becomes uniquely fascinating. You were born to channel chaos into creation. You have the rare ability to dream outside the lines while still building something that stays inside the frame. You're not just an idea person, you're an idea engineer. The number 4 gives you a strong work ethic and laser focus when you're passionate about something. You don't just dream of change, you develop systems to sustain it. You think in blueprints, timelines, processes. This means you often find yourself in roles where you're asked to organize the unorganizable, or to bring clarity to something that was once just a vague concept. Others may have the ideas, but you're the one who makes them tangible, repeatable, and sustainable. This life path also blesses you with a deeply internal compass for integrity and accountability. You believe in doing things the right way, not the fast way. You value foundations, whether that's in your relationships, your work, or your own self-development. You build slowly, but you build forever. That's why people trust you. That's why your work often outlives the trend cycle. You don't chase fads. You create frameworks that others will follow for years to come. But here's the hidden challenge of being a 4, sometimes, the weight of responsibility can start to feel like a cage. You may feel the burden to be the reliable one, the rock, the one who always delivers, no matter what's happening beneath the surface. And because you're also an Aquarius, this pressure to be steady can clash with your inner need for freedom, experimentation, and fluidity. It's not uncommon for February 4th individuals to feel torn between duty and disruption, consistency and chaos, stability and spontaneity. So what's the solution? Integration. Your journey is about learning to give structure to the dream without killing the dream. About building solid foundations that are still flexible enough to allow evolution. You don't need to choose between logic and inspiration, you're meant to combine them. People often come to you for guidance, not because you shout the loudest, but because your presence radiates confidence and quiet certainty. You offer the kind of wisdom that's been tested by time and earned through experience. You don't rush. You don't fake. You show up, build it right, and let the results speak for themselves. In relationships, your number 4 energy means you're steady, dependable, and sincere. You're the one people rely on when they need real advice, not fluff. You're not into romantic dramatics. You're into partnerships that are mutual, supportive, and rooted in reality. While your Aquarian nature wants a partner who can soar with you in the clouds, your 4 energy insists that they also know how to land safely. Financially, this life path often leads to long-term success, but not overnight. You build your wealth slowly and securely. Quick wins aren't your thing. You'd rather create something of value over time, something that can weather storms and grow stronger with age. When others are panicking, you're calm. When others are impulsive, you're strategic. And because of that, you often find yourself in leadership roles, sometimes reluctantly, but always naturally. The most powerful truth about February 4th borns is this: you are the bridge between vision and structure. You don't just want to dream big, you want to make those dreams stand the test of time. Whether you're creating a business, a community, a philosophy, or a family legacy, you approach it with care, intention, and clarity. You are proof that rebellion and responsibility are not opposites, they're allies, and together, they shape something revolutionary. Druid Tree Horoscope, the Cypress Tree. In the ancient Celtic Druid system, those born between January 25th and February 3rd fall under the tree sign of the cypress, and while your February 4th birthday lands just outside this window in most Druid calendars, the energy of the cypress still resonates deeply with your Aquarian core. In fact, many modern interpretations extend the cypress's influence just enough to claim February 4th borns under its noble, enduring shade. The cypress tree has long symbolized resilience, longevity, and inner strength. It's a tree that thrives in extreme conditions, whether planted on rocky cliffs or swampy soil. Likewise, if you're born on February 4th, your spirit is unyielding but serene. You weather life's emotional tempests with quiet grace and a deep internal compass. You don't shout over the noise, you outlast it. People may see your cool demeanor and assume you're unfeeling, but that's a misread. Like the cypress, which stands tall even in solitude, you carry a profound emotional depth, you just don't broadcast it. You have a strong sense of self and a quiet pride that keeps you moving forward even when others falter. Your soul is anchored, even if your thoughts are off racing through galaxies. The cypress is also known for its protective energy. In ancient Druid tradition, this tree often appeared near sacred spaces or grave sites, symbolizing guardianship over spiritual transitions. Likewise, you often find yourself playing the role of protector or guide, especially for the misunderstood, the misfit, or the marginalized. There's a priest-like quality to your presence. People trust you. They may not even know why. They just do. But here's the part you need to hear: being the strong one all the time can drain you. As a cypress soul, you sometimes take on too much responsibility for others, forgetting to nourish your own emotional ecosystem. You offer advice, stability, and wisdom, yet often hold your own struggles close to the chest. You give, and give, and give, until you suddenly need to disappear for a while to recharge in solitude. You're naturally attracted to big-picture ideas and spiritual truths. You don't care for gossip or drama, you want conversations that explore the why behind everything. Cypress-borns tend to have an old soul presence, often showing wisdom beyond their years from an early age. You may have felt different from others growing up, not better, just somehow apart. That's because you're tuned into deeper currents, both emotional and cosmic. In love and friendship, Cypress people are faithful and constant. You don't fall easily, but once you do, you're all in. You bring a sense of calm strength to your relationships. You won't smother anyone, you respect independence, but you'll always be there when it really matters. Loyalty, for you, is not negotiable. You offer emotional sanctuary, not just companionship. Creative, grounded, and fiercely independent, you often prefer working alone or in small, trusted teams. You're not here to dominate or impress. You're here to build something meaningful, leave something behind, or simply live a life that's aligned with your internal truth. Your legacy may not be loud, but it will be lasting. The cypress reminds us that true power doesn't boast. It stands. It shelters. It waits. And that's you, February 4th soul, unshakable in a world that never stops moving. Vedic Astrology, Aquarius in Kumbha Rashi. In the sacred system of Vedic astrology, your February 4th birth places you under the influence of Kumbha Rashi, the Sanskrit name for the Aquarius sign. But unlike Western astrology, which emphasizes your sun sign, Vedic astrology prioritizes the moon sign, which governs your inner emotional landscape, subconscious desires, and karmic blueprint. And when your moon is in Kumbha, you're not just a thinker, you are a karmic innovator, a soul driven by dharma, ideals, and cosmic responsibility. Kumbha Rashi is ruled by Shani, or Saturn, the planet of discipline, restriction, and spiritual maturity. This gives you a profound sense of duty, even if you don't always show it on the surface. You may joke, rebel, or live on the edge, but at your core, you carry the weight of legacy. There's a part of you that always feels like you were born to serve something larger than yourself. Whether it's community, justice, humanity, or knowledge, you seek to leave behind impact, not just impressions. This Saturnian influence means you're often seen as the old soul in the room, even if you're the youngest. You have a naturally serious, grounded quality that draws others to you when they need guidance, logic, or perspective. While Western Aquarius energy might appear eccentric and freewheeling, your Vedic sign adds a deep rootedness to your purpose. You don't just challenge systems for fun, you do it with intent, and often with a long game in mind. One of the defining traits of Kumbha natives is their unwavering dedication to the collective good. You think in terms of we before me. Whether you're fighting for social reform, building innovative tech, or simply reimagining how people connect, you're constantly asking, how can we evolve together? You're a walking think tank with a karmic contract to uplift consciousness, and you feel that pressure, whether or not you speak it aloud. This placement also sharpens your intellect to diamond-cut precision. Kumbha Rashi natives are rarely satisfied with shallow answers. You read between the lines. You decode unspoken patterns. You naturally gravitate toward science, metaphysics, philosophy, and futurism, and you often end up being the person who quietly knew something long before everyone else caught on. You're intuitive, but not in a mystical, Pisces sort of way. Your intuition is rooted in logic, you sense what's coming because you've done the inner math. But there's a shadow side. Because Shani Saturn is a tough love teacher, your path is often marked by delays, karmic lessons, and tests of endurance. You may feel like you've had to work harder than others just to get the same results. Or you may find that no matter how much you give, people don't always understand your deeper motivations. That's because your karma is tied to elevated service, not applause. You're not here to be liked, you're here to shift the paradigm. You may also wrestle with emotional detachment. Kumbha Rashi individuals often experience their feelings through a mental filter, analyzing them before expressing them. This can create an aura of aloofness or distance, especially in personal relationships. It's not that you don't feel deeply, you absolutely do, but your default mode is to solve, not to soothe. Learning to balance that analytical brilliance with vulnerability is one of your great soul lessons. In relationships, you crave partnerships where intellect and purpose intertwine. Romantic flings won't hold your attention unless there's depth, dialogue, and a shared mission. You're most fulfilled with a partner who respects your independence but supports your visions, someone who walks beside you, not behind you. Career-wise, Kumbha Rashi gives you the mind of an engineer, philosopher, or reformer. You're capable of long-term strategic thinking and often see patterns years before they manifest in the mainstream. You thrive in fields that involve innovation, infrastructure, systems thinking, and humanitarian work. And because Saturn favors perseverance, your success often comes later in life, but it's built to last. Spiritually, you may be drawn to yogic traditions, ancient texts, or meditation practices that emphasize discipline over dogma. You're not interested in blind faith, you want experiences that are real, repeatable, and transformative. You don't follow belief systems, you refine them. Above all, Kumbha Rashi makes you a soul architect of the future. You're here to connect the timeless with the timely, to ground the sky-high dreams of Aquarius into Saturn's solid earth. It's not always an easy path, but it's a noble one. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to build what's never existed before, and to do it with patience, persistence, and purpose. Stone Horoscope, Amethyst. Amethyst, the mystical purple quartz associated with February, is far more than a pretty gem. It's a spiritual compass, a protective veil, and a clarifying lens for those whose minds move at lightning speed. And for someone born on February 4th, whose Aquarian energy is constantly firing in 10 directions at once, amethyst is your grounding frequency, your soul stabilizer, and your third eye translator when life gets too loud. Known in ancient cultures as the stone of spiritual clarity, amethyst has been revered for centuries for its power to enhance intuition, discipline, and divine connection. For you, this crystal acts like a tuning fork, harmonizing your visionary ideas with a deeper sense of purpose. It doesn't mute your thoughts, it sharpens them, giving your scattered inspiration a coherent, focused rhythm. Your Aquarian nature often pulls you into the upper realms, ideas, dreams, innovations, theories. That's your zone. But sometimes, the altitude gets dizzying. Amethyst helps bring you back to center without bringing you down. When you wear it, sleep with it nearby, or meditate with it, you invite clarity into chaos. You open a space where abstract thought meets emotional insight, where what you feel and what you know finally start speaking the same language. Spiritually, this gemstone is deeply tied to the third eye chakra, which governs perception, intuition, and psychic awareness. And here's what makes it powerful for someone born on February 4th, you're already intuitive, but amethyst helps filter the noise. It enhances discernment, helping you separate truth from illusion, insight from impulse. When your mind races, amethyst slows it, not to dull it, but to refine the signal. It also serves as a shield. The Aquarian mind can be hypersensitive to external energy, negativity, manipulation, chaos in the environment. Amethyst acts as a kind of spiritual armor, protecting you from emotional overload while keeping your energy field clean, vibrant, and inwardly focused. For someone who values truth above all, this crystal is your loyal ally. It reminds you that truth isn't always loud. Sometimes, it comes in stillness. Amethyst also enhances your inner moral compass, something that plays a huge role in how you navigate relationships, decisions, and leadership. You don't just want to succeed, you want to do it ethically, aligned with your values and vision. This stone reinforces that integrity, helping you stay grounded in your highest self, especially when the world tries to pull you off course. On a physical and energetic level, amethyst is said to calm the nervous system, ease anxiety, and support restful sleep. For an Aquarius born on February 4th, someone whose thoughts rarely stop spinning, this is invaluable. Sleep, for you, isn't just rest. It's where your creativity resets. Your dreams aren't random, they're blueprints from another dimension. Amethyst helps you remember them, interpret them, and even use them. It's also the crystal of transmutation, which means it helps you turn emotional clutter into clarity, confusion into wisdom, doubt into intuitive action. And for someone like you, who often feels like they're straddling two worlds, the practical and the cosmic, the logical and the wild, amethyst becomes a sacred tool that lets you bridge those dimensions with grace. Keep it in your workspace when you're building something important. Wear it during meditation to deepen your focus. Place it under your pillow when your soul is restless. Think of it as a translator for your higher self, a subtle but powerful reminder that even the most expansive mind needs a place to root and remember. You're not meant to shut off your mind or quiet your curiosity. Amethyst doesn't ask you to stop seeking, it simply helps you see what really matters, with clarity, calm, and a sense of cosmic timing that always seems to show up when you need it most. Best Zodiac Matches. As someone born on February 4th, your Aquarian soul vibrates at a frequency that not everyone can hear, let alone match. You're a heady mix of visionary thinker, emotional minimalist, and freedom seeker, which makes you a magnet for some signs and a mystery to others. Love, for you, isn't about convention. It's about alignment of ideals, intellect, and independence. The right match won't just understand your quirks, they'll thrive in them. They'll bring oxygen to your fire without trying to control the flame. Let's break down your strongest connections, the zodiac signs that don't just match your vibe but can run beside you, emotionally, mentally, and cosmically. Gemini. This is a mind-to-mind spark fest. Gemini speaks your language, fast, curious, and always looking for the next discovery. With Gemini, conversations are never boring and ideas are never too weird. You feed each other's intellectual hunger and keep one another mentally charged. You challenge each other in all the right ways, and both of you appreciate space, freedom, and spontaneity. It's a bond built on shared wonder, a kind of love that's always learning something new. Libra. Where you bring innovation, Libra brings balance. They smooth your sharp edges with grace and empathy while never dimming your originality. Libra is one of the few signs that can handle your independence without taking it personally, and they'll never try to box you in. They thrive on equality, just like you, and they're socially fluent enough to help you navigate those occasional Aquarian social disconnects. Together, you create a beautiful fusion of idealism and style. Aries. This fire and air combination creates a relationship that's explosive, in the best way. Aries matches your intensity and adds a layer of boldness you secretly crave. They get your need for freedom and aren't intimidated by your unpredictability, in fact, they love it. Aries keeps you on your toes, dares you to take risks, and pushes you to follow your big ideas with action. You bring strategy, they bring energy. Together, you're a dynamic duo that doesn't just dream, it does. Sagittarius. Your souls were made for the open road, philosophical, literal, or emotional. Sagittarius understands your big questions and your bigger need to explore. They're not interested in tying you down, they want to run beside you, across borders, beliefs, and possibilities. This relationship thrives on mutual growth, deep conversations, and a shared refusal to settle. It's not about permanence, it's about the freedom to evolve together, and neither of you finds that threatening. In fact, it's what makes you both stay. Now, let's talk about the signs that might challenge you, not because they're wrong, but because their emotional rhythm beats to a different tempo than yours. Taurus. While you're craving motion and mental stimulation, Taurus is craving routine, security, and groundedness. They want to put down roots, you want to uproot systems. This can lead to frustration unless both of you make peace with your differences. Taurus may see you as unpredictable or distant, while you may see them as rigid. But if you both learn from each other, there's potential to build a bridge between comfort and change. Cancer. Emotional and nurturing, Cancer can sometimes feel too deep and too demanding for your cool, cerebral vibe. You're driven by logic and future vision, they're driven by emotional memory and present attachment. You value freedom, they need emotional security. This mismatch can create misunderstandings unless there's an extraordinary level of communication and trust. Still, if the connection forms, it can be transformative for both of you, teaching you how to feel more, and them how to let go. Virgo. Virgo loves order and detail, you love chaos and innovation. Virgo thrives on planning and analysis, You thrive on wild ideas and unpredictability. They may try to fix you, and you'll resist hard. You may feel micromanaged, while they feel ignored. But don't count it out completely. If you both approach the relationship as a co-learning experience, Virgo can ground your ideas in practical execution, and you can help Virgo see beyond the rules into something more expansive. Compatibility for you isn't about finding someone who matches every part of you, it's about finding someone who respects the parts they don't understand, someone who sees your independence not as distance but as a different form of devotion. You're not looking for a traditional love story. You're looking for a mind meld, a co-creator, a fellow explorer of ideas, passion, and possibility. When you find it, it's not just love. It's a revolution. Final thoughts: you were born to rethink the world. If you were born on February 4th, the universe handed you a mission wrapped in contradictions, layered with brilliance, and laced with just enough rebellion to keep things interesting. You weren't made for the easy path, you were made for the evolutionary path. You are, by nature, a paradox, a visionary with a blueprint, a revolutionary with a moral compass, a dreamer who also knows how to draft a plan and see it through. Your life isn't about fitting into existing systems, it's about questioning why they exist in the first place. You challenge structures not just to disrupt, but to improve. You ask difficult questions not to provoke, but to awaken. Where others see tradition, you see opportunity. Where others hesitate, you leap. You don't just think ahead of the curve, you often are the curve, the sharp turn no one expected but everyone needed. And yet, despite your sharp mind and cool exterior, there's a deep heart at the core of your being. You may not always show it in conventional ways, but you care deeply, about justice, about people, about potential. You long for connection, even if you sometimes fear what it demands. You want love, but not if it cages you. You seek belonging, but only where authenticity is honored. You don't settle, not in relationships, not in careers, not in life paths. You are on a soul-level journey to build something real, radical, and resonant. You are both blueprint and spark. Both chaos and clarity. You were born with one foot in the future and the other grounded in responsibility. That's your superpower. You don't just dream of new worlds, you figure out how to build them brick by brick, conversation by conversation, breakthrough by breakthrough. You don't just imagine how things could be, you start making them so. And if that's ever felt lonely, it's because trailblazers often walk a little ahead. But you're not alone, you're just ahead of your time. And eventually, time will catch up with your vision. So here's the one promise we ask of you: never shrink your ideas to fit into someone else's smaller frame. Never dilute your truth because it makes others more comfortable. You were not born to be palatable. You were born to be powerful, to challenge, to create, to lead, and yes, to love, but on your terms, in your language, and in your own revolutionary rhythm. If the world ever feels too slow, too rigid, too loud, don't retreat. Just remember, you are the wave that breaks the silence, the wind that bends the trees, the voice that speaks when everyone else stays quiet. You are the living proof that innovation is not a phase, it's a destiny. So go on, design that impossible idea. Write that book. Launch that project. Build that off-grid life. Fall in love with someone who doesn't want to fix you but fly beside you. Keep questioning, keep building, keep expanding. Because you, February 4th soul, weren't born to fit in. You were born to redefine what "in" even means. And when they ask how you managed to do all of it, your answer will be simple. I didn't follow the stars. I became one.